Okay, I'm going to show you how to create a blinkie using Photoshop and ImageReady. The pixel that we're going to be working with is a Say Club doll. I chose this because some people find them difficult. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up in ImageReady. And as you can see, we have 40 frames. The very first thing I want to do is go over to my Optimize panel on the right. I'm going to set this to Perceptual, No Dither. Make sure my transparency box is checked, which I think it is by default. And then I'm going to go up to File, Jump to, and Photoshop. You can do this entirely in ImageReady, but the work face, it's just not as friendly. I really just prefer using Photoshop. I'm going to go to View, Fit on Screen. That way I can see what I'm dealing with here. And the first thing I'm going to do is create a blank blinkie that has the maximum number of boxes I'm going to need, which is 12 on my blinkies. So I'm going to go up to Image, Canvas Size, and I want to set both of these to pixels, since obviously that's what we're working with. And I can see it's already 100 by 120. For the width, I'm going to go ahead and set that to 180. The reason is my boxes are exactly 15 by 15, so to get 12 boxes that are 15 pixels wide, I'm going to need 180 pixels of space. And then for the height, of course, they're 15 pixels high, so I'm going to need to bump that up to 135. And on the anchor graph here, I'm going to select the arrow that is in the center of the top. That is so the space will be pushed downward, so I'll end up with all my empty space at the bottom, not a little bit at the top and a little bit at the bottom. Go ahead and hit OK. And then I go back up to View and Fit on Screen just so I can see more of what I'm working with. And as you can see, there's perfect space for blinkie boxes now. And I have my boxes prepared, so I'm going to go to those and go ahead and open them up in ImageReady. And you technically don't have to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and just do it so you can get this drilled into your head. On the Optimize panel, go ahead and go to Perceptual and No Dither. Then I'm going to switch over to Photoshop. And the reason I say you don't have to on the boxes with the Perceptual No Dither stuff, you're going to be adding it to the pixel that's already set that way. So anyway, the boxes here, I'm going to select a layer and go ahead and copy, paste, move it where I need it. I'm going to go back to my blinkie boxes here, select the next layer and copy and paste again and move it again. And the reason you don't see me doing any edit and copy and edit and paste, I'm just using my keyboard shortcuts, but you can do it however you like. Alright, so now we see it's starting to look more like a blinkie. Over in the Layers panel, you can see we now have 42 layers. When you paste something on, it automatically creates a new layer. So we have the 40 layers that were the original pixel, and then one layer for each layer of the blinkie boxes. So we go back up to File, jump to ImageReady, and you can see it updates. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go on my animation bar here. I'm going to scroll over to the first frame right here. Go ahead and select that first frame. And when you look over in the Layers panel, you can see both layers of boxes are showing. So you want to take one of those away. We only want one set of boxes visible, or one layer of boxes, I should say. And obviously we want it to blink, so we don't want that on every frame, but what it does is when you select the first frame here, whatever you set for this, it will automatically set it for all of them. And so what I do is go ahead and set one layer for all of them, and then I go to the second frame, and then I hold down Control, and I go through and select all my even frames. Oops. Takes a little bit of time if you have something with a lot of frames, but not too terribly long. And so then I'm going to go back over to the Layers panel and go ahead and make visible the other layer of boxes and invisible the layer that you used on frame 1, basically your odd frames. So if you go back to frame 1 and hit your play button just to kind of see what's going on, make sure it's smooth and flowing, make sure it looks right, you haven't made any mistakes. I started working with a pixel that has all the frames are exactly 0.2 seconds. That makes it a lot easier if all your frames are at the same time. If it's not possible, or if your pixel isn't that way to start with, try to create it. You can duplicate frames, take away frames. Sometimes you can change the time on them, but whatever you do, you want to get to a point where your frames are the same length of time. Alright, so that's checking out, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the animation there. We obviously have what we need. Double check the optimized panel. I have perceptual, no dither, and it's transparent. So I'm going to go up to File, Save Optimize As, and let me see where I want to save this. And everything is set, so we're just going to type, I don't know, let's call this Unicorn Girl. And what I do is I just name it whatever I want and put the number of boxes behind it. So I have like Unicorn Girl 12. Go ahead and save. And File, jump to Photoshop. So what I'm going to do now is I want to go ahead and create, obviously, other blanks. Not every blinkie I make of this is not going to have 12 boxes. To keep the pixel exactly centered, I do all of my even boxes all of my even blinkies first, and then I go back and do my odds. So since we're on 12, we're obviously we're going to be on evens. So the next I'm going to do is 10. So first I'm going to go up to image and image size, and I can see the height is 135, which I already knew, of course, but sometimes when you're doing this you do forget, so you have to double check. And so we know it's 135 pixels high. So I'm going to go over to my crop tool, and at the top here you can fill in your width and your height I should say. I'm going to type in 135 for the height and leave the width blank. This is going to allow me to crop out one blinky box on each side. Go ahead and drag this over here, and it's going to keep everything perfectly centered. And I just hit enter. Okay, there we go. And then go back up to File, jump to Image Ready, and there you go. You have it. It's perfect. It's got exactly 10 boxes. File, Save As, and I just changed that to Unicorn Girl 10. Save. And then you would continue to do that, cutting off one box on each side, 2 boxes. You'd obviously go down to 8, 6, 4, and so on. You will get to a point on some blinkies, the pixel's too wide, you can't keep going down, so that's where I've set my minimum. And this one's pretty wide, so it would have a pretty big minimum, or pretty large minimum, I should say. But I'm going to go ahead and just assume that you've gotten through that point, and when you go to do your odds, what you're going to do is the same exact thing, but in the step when you remembered when we went to image and canvas size, and we set these to pixels, when we were setting the width to 180, what you would need to do for the odds, if your boxes are 15, of course, is just set it to 165, and that'll start you at 11, and then you can just cut down from there and go to 9, 7, and so on.